Hello everyone, this is the recording for the Unit 5 Medium and Message Remediation video. So if you did not do well on the Unit 5 test, we're going to go over the 3 most missed questions, and then you will retake the Unit 5 test for a higher score. Here we go. So passage 1 in the test was the excerpt from Benjamin Banneker's letter to Thomas Jefferson. And question number 1, throughout his letter, how does Banneker try to convince Jefferson that slavery is wrong? Throughout this letter, how does Banneker try to convince Jefferson that slavery is wrong? So we have A, he appeals to Jefferson's sense of justice. B, he provides evidence of how badly enslaved people are treated. Or C, he provides evidence of how well he has done as a freed black man. So you can see that the correct answer is A, he appeals to Jefferson's sense of justice. If we look back at this part of the passage, this was the second paragraph that was given. It says, "This, sir, was a time in which you clearly saw into the injustice of a state of slavery, and in which you had just apprehensions of the horrors of its condition. It was now, sir, that your adherence thereof was so excited that you publicly held forth this true and invaluable doctrine, which is worthy to be recorded and remembered in all succeeding ages. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." Now this last part is in quotes because Banneker is quoting word for word the doctrine that he's talking about, the document of the Declaration of Independence. And so he's trying to talk to Thomas Jefferson about the injustice of slavery. And he's trying to appeal to Jefferson's sense of justice. What is right? What is wrong? What is not just morally right or wrong, but also what is perceived as that all citizens of the United States, the rights that they should have. Okay. And so he's trying to convince Jefferson that slavery is wrong. And he does this by appealing to Jefferson's sense of justice. He talks about the injustice of slavery. He talks about how Jefferson said that slavery was wrong, that its condition of slavery was horrible. He publicly said that this doctrine, this invaluable doctrine, this really important, very valid document of the Declaration of Independence, talks about how all men are created equal and that their rights our life liberty and the pursuit of happiness, right? And liberty means freedom, which we know is the opposite of slavery. Slaves are not free. Liberty is freedom. And so by saying all of these things, Banneker is trying to convince Jefferson that slavery is wrong. He's appealing to Jefferson's sense of justice. He's not talking about how badly enslaved people are treated. He says that it's wrong, but he's not giving evidence about particulars or details about that. And he's not talking about himself here either. He's talking about, in general, the state of slavery, right? Slavery as an institution. All right, so then passage 2 was the excerpt from George Washington's farewell address. And question number 5 says, Washington stresses the importance of a government for the whole. He acknowledges a counterclaim to his position. There will be conflicting priorities between different parts of the country. Does Washington effectively disprove the counterclaim? A, no, because he states that alliances can be a substitute for government. B, yes, because he states that the Constitution can be amended to meet the country's needs. Or C, no, because he states that the Constitution can be amended to meet the country's, the country's needs. So yes, because he states the Constitution could be amended, or no, because he states the Constitution could be amended. Now, in order to answer this question, we need to know what a counterclaim is, right? Washington stresses the importance of a government for the whole. He acknowledges a counterclaim to his position. So what is a counterclaim? A counterclaim is a claim in a persuasive argument that presents an opposing viewpoint or alternate viewpoint to the main claims the writer makes. So this counterclaim is the opposite viewpoint or the other side of the argument, and Washington acknowledges that, right? So he says his claim is a government, it's important that a government is for the whole, right? It's for everybody. It's for the people united as one country, not broken up into separate parts, right? And the counterclaim to his position, the opposite viewpoint, is there will be conflicting priorities between different parts of the country. So different parts of the country will have different priorities. They'll have different concerns and think that different issues are important, and they might be conflicting. They might be going against each other. And so does Washington effectively disprove the counterclaim? So this is the counterclaim. There will be conflicting priorities between different parts of the country instead of a government for the whole, right? And does he effectively disprove that? Effectively means, does he do it well? And disprove means, does he prove that this counterclaim is wrong? Or does he prove that disprove means not proving, right? Does he prove that this counterclaim is false or not true, right? And the answer is yes. He does effectively disprove this counterclaim. because he states that the Constitution can be amended to meet the country's needs, right? So even though there are conflicting priorities between different parts of the country, the Constitution can be changed, amended means changed, added to, things taken out, right, to meet the country's needs. So even though different parts of the country might have issues that they might be going against each other, this Constitution can be changed to stay a government for the whole, for everyone, right? And we see this in the excerpt here, to the efficacy and permanency of your union. A government for the whole is indispensable, right? A government for the whole. No alliances, however strict between the parts, can be an adequate substitution. They must inevitably experience the infractions and interruptions which all alliances in all times have experienced. Sensible of this momentous truth, you have improved upon your first essay by the adoption of a constitution of government, better calculated than your former for an intimate union and for the efficacious management of your common concerns. So here he's saying, you wrote the Constitution, the first version of the Constitution of the government, right? And that was great for managing all of our common issues, right, at the time. Then he goes on to say, this government, the offspring of our own choice, uninfluenced and unawed, adopted upon full investigation and mature deliberation, completely free in its principles, in the distribution of its powers, uniting security with energy, and containing within itself a provision for its own amendment, has a just claim to your confidence and your support. So containing within itself a provision for its own amendment, he's talking about here how we wrote the first version of the Constitution and we adopted it into as our government, right? We accepted it as our government, but a provision for its own amendment, we can, if we want to, change it if we need to. We can change it to meet our own needs, right? We can make an amendment, a change. And so he is stating that the Constitution can be amended, changed to meet the country's needs here. And so by doing that, he is effectively disproving this counterclaim. All right, so then we have nonfiction text features. A text feature is an organizational feature of a text that helps readers understand it better. So here are three types of text features. We have a diagram, tables and charts, graph. So a diagram example would be an assembly manual for a bird feeder, shows a picture of the product with each piece labeled. A chart example, a study of the world's ocean, contains a chart that shows how levels of pollution have risen over the last 50 years. And a graph example, an article on the California gold rush, has a line graph showing the population of California from 1800 to 1900. So diagrams, tables and charts and graphs are all visual representations of data, statistics, information, right? And so these are often seen in nonfiction texts. So question number 8, which text feature would best show data from a study about the birth rates of elephants born in captivity? Which text feature, a diagram, a chart, or a graph, would best show data from a study about the birth rates of elephants born in captivity? So birth rates of elephants means how many elephants are being born, right? And captivity means they're being born not in the wild, but in captive, in either a zoo or a sanctuary or some kind of man-made place and man-run facility. So, A, a diagram depicting how the habitats of captive elephants have improved over time. B, a chart explaining factors that affect the health of elephants living in captivity. Or C, a graph displaying the population growth of elephants in captivity over time. Excuse me. So as you can see, that C is our correct answer here, a graph displaying the population growth of elephants in captivity over time. So if we just look at the question here, it asks for the best text feature to show this particular type of data. All of these text features could show this data, right? But which one is the best text feature to show this particular type of data? A study about the birth rates of elephants born in captivity. So we have to look at this part of our question, right? Birth rates of elephants born in captivity. Well, this answer choice, a diagram depicting how the habitats of captive elephants have improved over time. It's talking about captive elephants. Whoops. Talking about captive elephants. But this is talking about habitats, which is the particular facility that the captive elephants are living in, the place where they are living, but that doesn't give us information about the birth rates, right? Elephants being born. So A cannot be our correct answer. B, a chart explaining factors that affect the health of elephants living in captivity. Again, this one talks about elephants living in captivity, but this is talking about the factors that affect the health of elephants living in captivity. And even though health affects birth rates, that's not the particular data that we are looking for, right? The study about the birth rates of elephants born in captivity is not the same thing of information that is explaining factors that affect the health. All right, so it can't be B. A graph displaying the population growth of elephants in captivity over time. Now, again, we have elephants in captivity, right? But the population growth, what does that mean? Population is how many elephants are there, right? How many, the count, right? Are there 50 elephants? Are there 100 elephants? Are there 300 elephants? Whatever. Okay. And so the population growth is talking about how many elephants are there in captivity over time, right? Over time means the growth over time means, is it going up? Is it staying about the same? Is it going down? Growth implies it's going up, right? And population growth is talking about also, if the population is going up, that means more elephants, which means elephants being born, right? Birth rates and elephants being born. So the graph displaying the population growth of elephants in captivity over time is directly going to show the data from a study about the birth rates of elephants born in captivity. And so that chart might look a little bit something like this, right? If we have time on this side and we have number of elephants, the population on the bottom, and it shows the growth, it shows them going up, right? The number of elephants going up, that would show the data from a study about the birth rates of elephants born in captivity, right? It's going up, population growth over time. And so our graph would probably be the best way to show that information. All right, that's it for this remediation video. Please retake your test for a higher score. Good luck.